figures show that nearly half of Brits find flirting inappropriate at work. So, what do you think about sending or receiving Valentine's Day cards in the office? Michelle Morrison went to find out.
Have you ever given a Valentine's card to someone at work?
Nah, man. I don't think people at work are that special to me, like, you know what I'm saying?
I've had it from a mystery admirer at work, and the person never came up and told me that they've given a card, so it was just a mystery card on my table.
It's a bit boring then, isn't it?
It is. I would assume that they would come up and say something.
How do you think you would react then if a colleague sent you a card?
I wouldn't be offended, but I'd be a little creeped out.
You probably wouldn't sit next to him at lunch.
Yeah, no.
If you were to write a Valentine's card for someone at work, what might it say?
Keep up the good work, but I still need another 25% from you.
That person's flirting game needs upping, I think. We're joined now by sex and therapist and relationship expert Emiliana Silvestri. He says flirting makes a boring job fun, while broadcaster and relationship coach Fahima Mohammed believes that it can actually make people feel awkward and uneasy. Welcome to the show, both of you. I'm going to keep Ed under control with his rose giving this morning. But listen, I think that's interesting what you say about it makes people feel uncomfortable, because there's a woman there speaking to Michelle who said, I wouldn't be offended, but I'd be creeped out. And I think that's the sort of fine line, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think a lot of us forget that when we're discussing human behaviour, unless it's something that you are happy with and you know who that person is and it's reciprocated, then, you know, it's like if I said to you, Ed, you look really nice today. If you liked me, you wouldn't mind that comment. But if you didn't, you're like, I don't really want to see her again. And it might make you feel awkward. You know, people are very socially awkward when it comes to relationships, and dealing with this kind of thing can trigger them. And it is something in the workplace that should be kept separate, I believe.
Right.
And also, if you said it, fine. If Ranveer said it, fine. But if it was anonymous and I didn't know who was saying it, yes. I'm looking around the studio thinking who is sending me these private love messages. You can imagine that feeling a bit creepy,
feeling
maybe
a bit on edge,
intimidating. You might be thinking, you know, who is it?
Amelia, it is a bit of a minefield, Valentine's Day in the workplace, and we should maybe just have a little rule that we just don't do it.
I disagree. I think when you mention human behaviour, what you're suggesting that people do is turn off their natural instincts. So we have such a thing as a mating call.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen an Attenborough show, but you'll see animals mate, call, and we do as well as humans. So to turn off a natural instinct, if you see someone you've got good energy with, is, I think, really quite problematic. I think that we're wired, well, I know we're wired for connection as human beings. We're designed for touch and cuddles, and a lot of people go to work and home. And if you stop the ability to make that connection and change their whole life at work, then what are they supposed to scroll online? Lots of people don't want to do that.
I think it's the misjudging of energy, bro. So Andrew on email says, many years ago, a gift-wrapped box was left on my office desk from an anonymous admirer on Valentine's Day. I put it in the bottom drawer, forgot about it until the office Christmas party, at which point I placed the box under the staff Christmas tree as my contribution to the Secret Santa. The present was won by the woman who had given it to me 10 months earlier. She immediately recognised it and never spoke to me again. And that's the... I've heard of stories of people who've had to leave their workplace.
Exactly.
Because of some,
there's such a thing as boundaries. You can put boundaries in place.
But that's why you and I have a job, because we actually teach boundaries. A lot of people don't know about their boundaries. And when it comes to the romance, it should be outside in the bedroom, not in the boardroom.
But how do you get somebody into the bedroom if you don't create connection? You just said yourself, if I didn't like you, it would be a problem. But if I did like you,
but there's a lot of people that do find relationships very, very awkward. And it's a
how do you begin one if we're not allowed to connect? How do you begin the relationship?
Because you go to work, and you go and you actually have these goals.
Obama's met at work. Tell me what you think of that. The Obamas met at work.
Yeah, but they probably didn't initiate anything in the workspace. It caused an awkwardness.
Like what, you don't think they had
But
the
meeting is
energy?
different. I think what the debate today is about what you do on Valentine's Day and whether you actually make an approach on Valentine's Day.
I think that's a lovely opportunity to tell someone you've always liked them. They can say, no, I don't like you back.
People around them in the office...
We're not talking about harassment. We're talking about flirting. We're talking about letting someone know you like them. I don't think we should ban that.
But it's anonymous. How does doing it anonymously
It doesn't have to be anonymous. This debate is about Valentine's cards don't have to be anonymous. And
don't they?
But do you?
I don't think so.
Do you have an issue with it?
Let someone give them a clue. And
Interestingly,
let you know
do you have an issue with it being anonymous? Then would that be your boundary?
I don't have an issue with anything, and I think everybody needs to stop having issues with everything and banning everything. And we're talking about banning connection. Human beings are wired for connection. I'm a therapist, and most of the problems I have at work is loneliness. There's an epidemic of loneliness in this society.
But that's
and by telling people we can't connect anymore is furthering that epidemic, which is a serious problem.
I think having connections amazing, but a lot of people do not want that in that space.
So put your boundaries in place. I don't want this
but
in
like
my
I said,
space.
the boundaries are not necessary, because once someone actually says something, your actual behaviour will change.
Okay.
You will feel creeped out.
But then I think we need to look at that. Why is it uncomfortable for me to tell someone I like them?
If you feel that way, that's great. But most people do not have those skills to actually do that.
Let's call it Galentine's Day and be friends.
Oh,
Happy Galentine's Day.
We're friends. We can be friends.
Happy Galentine's Day to all of the women on the show this morning.
Happy Valentine's.
We've had a Twitter poll. 66% of you said no, we shouldn't ban giving Valentine's cards in the workplace. So it's sort of edging towards people thinking, let's just err on the side of a bit of warmth in the workplace, even if you don't know who it's from. Thank you, both of you. Lovely to have you on the show.
Fabulous. Alex, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Is it going to be sunny or rainy?
Can't we all just get it on? I mean, get along? Anyway, let's take a look at the weather.